On Global News Express, Tinubu presides over FEC meeting. Federal government donates grains to Kano as governor queries Ramadan feeding program. Senegal awaits presidential poll outcome as opposition takes lead. And in sports, Nigerian MMA fighters get heroes. Welcome. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global TV. We are live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson, now the news in full. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio has called for humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza and the unconditional release of all hostages. He also called for access to humanitarian aid for victims of the war conflict zone. Akpabio made the call in his address at the ongoing 148th Interparliamentary Union IPU General Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland. Edika Michael has the report.
The Senate President urged members of the IPU not to conclude the General Assembly without adopting his demands as part of the resolutions that will be announced after the Assembly.
This is a lone voice from Nigeria. We tried our best in Angola, and we failed to lend a collective voice towards what is happening in Gaza. Today, the world is very expectant. We must drop ego. It has nothing to do with which country brings a proposal. The basic tenets of humanity demand that we live here with resolution for the rest of the world, to show that we have humane feelings in us.
He also calls on the cessation of hostilities, which according to him must be part of the Parliament's resolutions with access to humanitarian aid.
We have to show the world that we are human beings. Cessation of hostilities must be part of our resolution. Access to humanitarian aid must be part of our resolution. At the same time, release of hostages and even those who are possibly prisoners of war. Because if both sides should take a step, releasing the hostages, releasing the prisoners of war, it means that both sides have agreed that the international community can go to the next step, which is negotiation for sustainable peace.
Akpabio also lamented on high children's death in the region.
We can no longer allow a child to die tonight without lending a voice. It doesn't matter which side. We are all parents. If we come here to look for ego and then try to, it's not affecting them. There's nothing that is affecting Denmark here. There's nothing that is affecting South Africa. The people affected are over there. And then, of course, nobody will agree to the lone resolution from Israel. It must be all-encompassing so that we stand up from here as human beings.
Mr. Akpabio's demands are not different from the position already taken by the Nigerian government and the country's National Assembly. Nigeria also joined 119 other countries at the UN General Assembly last year to vote in support of humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, where Israeli attacks have killed over 10,000 people, including over 3,000 children. Edika Michael, reporting for Global TV News.
The federal government has concluded plans to train some newly recruited personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in 36 states in the Federal Capital Territory as the School Safety Protection Squad to halt cases of adoption of children from their schools. The commander of the National Safe Schools Response Coordinator Center of the NSCDC, Ahmed Abiodunrin, disclosed this just as the Defense Headquarters said troops rescued 137 adopted pupils of the LEA Primary School and the Government Secondary School Karigi in Chukun Local Government Area, Kaduna, within Zamfara State. This came as President Bola Tinubu welcomed the news of the release of the Kuruga school children as well as the release of pupils of the Sengaya School in Sokoto State, commending all parties involved in the fight for their valiant effort. The Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, SANU, has announced the end of its 7-day warning strike to give more room for government to do the needful. The president of the association, Mohammed Ibrahim, made the declaration at a virtual stakeholders forum organized by the Education Writers Association of Nigeria, AWAN, in Lagos. The forum, which also had Ibeji Owokoma, president of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associate Institutions, NASU, in attendance, was on withheld salaries versus labor crisis. The death toll from stampede in Bauchi at an event for the distribution of arms has risen to 7. The police in the state said. The police spokesperson in the state, Ahmed Wakil, said 3 more women died from the injuries they sustained in the incident. The news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that 4 people were reportedly trampled to death during the exercise at Shafa Holdings Company PLC on Just Road in Bauchi. The police said the incident happened at about 10:20 a.m. when the company was holding its annual Zakat exercise, otherwise known as alms giving to help the less privileged in the state. You're watching News Express, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using @Global TV Engine and other handles now showing on your screen. When News Cycle returns, News Express, returns, federal government files tax aviation charges against Benas. There's some more stories coming right after this break. Do stay with us. Back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of News Express. Thank you for staying with us. Over now to our foreign scene, supporters of opposition candidate Basoro Damoye Faye has rallied in the streets to rejoice over their candidate's early victories in Senegal presidential election. Faye's victory is coming just a week after his release from prison, but his main rival from the ruling coalition insisted that a second round would be necessary to ascertain the winner. The winner will have to steer Senegal, viewed as a beacon of democracy in coup-hit West Africa, out of 3 years of turbulence and a political crisis, and manage revenues from oil and gas reserves that are shortly to start production. Uncertainty remains over the outcome of the unprecedented vote, with official results not expected before the end of the week. An absolute majority is required for a first-round win. The French Interior Minister has launched multiple anti-drug crackdowns, reflecting the government's commitment to show it's serious about tackling the drug trade and crime in cities ahead of European elections. The French Interior Minister announced multiple nationwide anti-drug crackdowns, reflecting the government's commitment to show it's serious about tackling the drug trade and crime in cities ahead of European elections. Interior Minister Gérard Damanin said that police units conducted raids and made several arrests in the northern city of Lille. He said that the authorities are going to multiply the operations that are prepared to months to hit very hard. In business, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment has directed applicants of the Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme to submit their national identification numbers as part of the necessary requirements to obtain a grant earmarked to caution the effect that recent economic reforms have had on businesses in the country. The government, through the Bank of Industry, had said it would be disbursing 3 categories of funding, totally 200 billion naira, to support manufacturers and businesses across the country. He said the new rule was based on the new regulations from the Central Bank of Nigeria, directing Nigerians to link their national identification numbers with their bank accounts. He added that only verified applicants will receive this notification, and NINs must match the applicant's name for the proceeds to proceed. The federal government has donated truckloads of grains to the Kano state government for distribution to the needy. The donation consists of 100 trucks of rice, 44 trucks of sorghum, and 4 trucks of maize. The donation arrived just as the state government said it has begun an investigation into its ongoing Ramadan feeding program in the state. The state's Director General Media and Publicity, Sanusi Tofa, disclosed this to journalists in Kano. He said Dangote Foundation also supported the state with 120,000 10 kg bags of rice. One of the 2 Binance executives detained in Nigeria for alleged tax evasion and other offenses, Nadeem Ajawala, has reportedly escaped from custody. In February, the federal government detained the two senior executives of Binance. The arrest came amidst efforts by the government to rein in speculations on the naira by cracking down on cryptocurrency exchanges. The charges against Binance include non-payment of value-added tax, company income tax, failure to file tax returns, and complicity in aiding customers to evade taxes through its platforms. Ajewale reported escape from the Abuja guest house where he and his colleague were being held. He was said to have escaped after some guards on duty escorted him to a nearby mosque for prayers. The federal government has initiated proceedings against Binance, a prominent cryptocurrency exchange platform, over tax evasion. The charges were filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, implicated Binance with 4 tax evasion accusations, adding that it was a decisive move aimed at upholding fiscal responsibility and safeguarding the economic integrity of the country. The charges levied against Binance include non-payment of value-added tax, company income tax, failure to file tax returns, and complicity in aiding customers to evade taxes through its platform. In the suit, the federal government also accused Binance of failure to register with FIRS for tax purposes and contravening existing tax regulations within the country. And now on entertainment, veteran Nollywood actor Amechi Monaghan has died over prolonged illness at the age of 62. Monaghan was said to have suffered kidney failure and was on dialysis. The sudden news of his demise comes just a few days after a viral video where he solicited funds to help him have kidney transplant. He was an actor and producer in 2016. He was nominated for AMVCA 2017 Best Actor in a Comedy. His death comes week after that of his famous colleague John Okafor, known as Mr. Ibu. In sports, 4 members of the Nigerian Mixed Martial Arts Federation, NMMAF, returned home to a hero's welcome after competing in the 13th African Games held in Accra, Ghana. The NMMAF board is thrilled to congratulate Team Nigeria on their outstanding performance at the Games, where MMA was featured as a demonstration sport. Team Nigeria brought home an impressive haul of 4 medals, 1 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze. Blessing Oyali secured the gold medal, while Martins Aziba claimed the silver. John Obeya and Freddie Destiny each contributed bronze medals to the team's success. Still on sports, Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, has declared that the preparations for the 2027 African Games will be held in Egypt will begin immediately as the contingent to the just concluded 13th edition of the Games in Ghana. Team Nigeria arrived the country's capital Abuja and Lagos in batches via chartered flights provided by the Ministry of Sports Development. In Ghana, the Team Nigeria had an impressive outing and finished second in the overall medal table, with a total number of 121 medals comprising 47 gold, 34 silver, and 40 bronze medals. Although the foreign-based athletes who were part of Nigerian success at the Games have also returned directly to their bases, Eno believed a head start ahead of the 2027 Games will give the country an edge in their quest to claim top sport for the first time since hosting the Games in 2003. And as we end the Global News Express, let's take a look at our top stories again. Tinubu presides over FEC meeting. Federal government donates grains to Kano as governor queries Ramadan feeding program. Senegal awaits presidential poll outcome as opposition takes lead. And in sports, Nigerian MMA fighters get heroes welcome. That's it on News Express, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good evening.